Good leaders are unscripted. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the show. And this is actually going to be an impromptu episode, which means I didn't plan on making this today, but I was listening to a podcast on the way from my house down to my office here in Troy, New York. And I was listening to Jordan Peterson talk about how he prepares for an interview. And he basically said, I go in unscripted.
He had some questions, and they were all listed on a list of questions, and I guess that's okay, but it isn't. When you go talk to somebody, you sit down and have a serious conversation. It's not like you bring a list of questions. You kind of assume that if you're having a discussion, that the discussion will proceed organically without pre-scripting, and that your response to the person you're talking to will be dependent on their response.
And he went on to elaborate as to why he goes in unscripted.
Well, first of all, studio television is unbelievably expensive, right? Especially if it's a big network. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars per minute. You don't muck about with that. And there's advertisers who are advertising and paying for it, and they don't want to see a mistake, that's for sure. And so, of course, it's going to be scripted right down to the last detail. And so there's nothing dynamic about the conversation, and therefore there's nothing real. And so it ends up being something more like canned entertainment or scripted. It's like propaganda. Back to the artist issue. It's like propaganda instead of art. And the medium, to use Marshall McLuhan's term, the medium can't afford the risk of genuine interaction.
He said he goes in to solve a problem. He's trying to get below the question, underneath the question, to the deeper meaning, to the deeper solution or answer, or at least the beginning of a solution, or the beginning of value to the problem. And this got me thinking about leadership and leadership styles and my belief in the idea that good leaders are unscripted. Now, hopefully you're saying to yourself, Ryan, that's ridiculous. The greatest leaders in history research and plan and are prepared, and you would absolutely positively be correct. So the caveat to the idea that good leaders are unscripted is that they're not unprepared. They're not unprepared. They've done the research. They own the topic. It's who they are. They believe everything they say deep in their chest. They're ready. Unscripted means they're not walking into a situation with an agenda. This is why we hate traditional media interviews and political debates, because we know the commenters in that arena are less interested in creating value and creating sustainable change, less interested in infecting the audience with an idea that will really help them. And their sole purpose for being in that space is the self-serving agenda, which moves their interests forward, which moves whatever it is that they're there to push, their product, their service, their position forward. There's a disconnect, and that disconnect does not build the trust and respect necessary to create real change, to be that true leader. My advice: prepared but unscripted. Prepared but unscripted. Martin Luther King, in his famous I Have a Dream speech back in 1963, he had that speech scripted out. The speech was actually titled Normalcy Never Again, which is a terrible title. And as Dr. King got into the speech, he realized that he was losing the audience. He wasn't making a connection. And it was in that moment that his preparation and his owning of the topic, his belief in his message, he was able to go off script and still deliver the speech that he wanted, still deliver on the core ideas, but in an unscripted fashion, because he was prepared, but willing to be unscripted. He was prepared, but willing to be unscripted. And I think what great leaders know is that there is no path. Is that you can script out life, you can script out your presentations, you can script out your sales calls, But this is really just preparation, in that we have to embrace the unscripted nature of life. That the things we see as bedrock are really just constructs and frameworks made by us, by all of us, in our heads, from our peers, from our competitors, from those who came before us, and that life is truly unscripted. And to be a good leader, you have to be flexible and able to maneuver to the various things that are going to be put in front of you. So prepare, but be unscripted.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing.
And if there's one example that I can leave you with of who I think is a current, truly great leader who lives that prepared but unscripted life, it's the tremendous Gary Vaynerchuk. In what I found to be a truly moving video titled Becoming Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about how his great superpower is a willing to go back to zero.
You've built something and watched it grow from 4 to 60 million in revenue, and you've never really made more than $150,000 a year. I just started getting so much of the credit that it started undermining my dad's own feelings for himself. It's almost like he was getting wiped out of history, and it was an interesting, difficult time. What it took for me to get out of that moment was the ability to start over.
And the only thing that will allow us to go back to zero is to be prepared to rebuild from that place. Is the preparation, but living unscripted. Being unscripted. Prepared, but unscripted, because we have no idea what's coming. And if going back to zero is what's necessary, then that's what you have to do. But the only thing that'll bring you back from that place is preparation. So prepare, my friends. Prepare, prepare, prepare. But be willing to go off script, because good leaders live unscripted. I love you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Leave your comments below of other, who are some other tremendous unscripted leaders? Do you even agree with this? Should we all just be scripted? Either way, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side. I love you for watching this. Peace!